McKinsey has been a leader on sustainability for decades and now really working to help all these industry sectors to transform to net zero. So with that, Laurie, I'd like to get your spin now. You know, this event is bringing together corporates and subnationals. What are you seeing from your clients and from the corporate sector at the moment?
The first thing we're seeing is just the incredible catalyst that the recent legislation has provided. So IRA, BIL, CHIPS as well. And so we're seeing investors, investment committees, we're seeing management boards really lean into opportunities at a pace that's really striking. So that's great to see. We're also seeing companies recognize that now's the time to actually show real credible progress on all the commitments that have been made on decarb, and feeling pressure from regulatory other stakeholders to really have verifiable progress. And at the same time, there are these other challenges of inflation and margin pressures in the economy and all of that. And so what we're seeing is really the need to reduce carbon and cost at the same time. We're finding it's possible, it's challenging, it takes a lot of work, but this dual focus of cost and carbon is something we're seeing.
Climate Group's mission is to drive climate action fast, and I always want to talk about the fast bit of that. How are you seeing momentum pick up, and are you seeing the speed pick up with things like the IRA and others?
The scale and pace of what's required by 2030, it's mind-boggling, right? So we need to scale EVs about 45x, battery storage 23x, sustainable aviation fuels 500x, 8 megatons of hydrogen. I mean, it's massive. So first of all, I think you just have to start with absurd ambition, because the only way we're going to deliver this is if we aspire and start acting at a level of pace that's just beyond bounds. And I think we have to recognize that what's required here is fundamentally different than what it took to be successful in the digital revolution and scale up internet giants and all of that. This is not going to be coders sitting around a pizza box, right? This is real physical assets, huge CapEx projects. So we spend a lot of time working with companies on what is this new formula for what we call hyperscaling the green businesses.
The other thing we just wanted to talk about is skills and labor. Again, we heard from the governor a bit about this. It'd be good to hear your perspective about how jobs are going to be impacted by the transition and how we really can support the workforce as we go through this.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you asked that. I think jobs is absolutely huge. And it's both an unlock in terms of gaining acceptance, and it's a real fundamental challenge in terms of social equity and all of that. McKinsey's looked at what jobs are required between now and 2050 globally for the transition. We think about 200 million jobs are going to be created. That's great news. About 185 million jobs are going to be lost, so it's still net positive. But it's very uneven where it's going to be created and lost. And if you think about how communities are going to be impacted favorably and unfavorably, and the implications for that, we know we need an orderly and just transition, and we really need to think through those transitions. There are a lot of places to go on this, but just 3 things I'd emphasize would be, 1, probably moving how we think about hiring from credentials-based. Have you done this exact thing to a skills-based? Do you have the skills that are going to allow you to transition? Because that opens up a lot. Second is really thinking about upskilling and reskilling, whether it's on-the-job training or vocational schools. We have to be really programmatic because, again, it's all about the speed, right? We're racing the clock and the planet's carbon budget here. And the third, I would say, is really just more university-based. It's great to see DOE, for example, funding in University of Michigan, battery research and all of that. There's just a lot that also needs to happen for the next generation of training. And the great thing is to see how many young people are really interested in learning and building the skills and having careers in this area.
Yeah, great. And you were saying earlier as well that, you know, as people start to transition into these jobs, hopefully that starts to impact the narrative that we were talking about and we heard about from Governor Moore. Great. Well, thank you so much for these insights. A lot to be done, so we're going to be busy for the next few years.